KUAM News Hotspot is brought to you by
Pacific Points, Do More, Get More, and Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Half a day, everybody. We hope you are having a pleasant morning. Lots going on, not just on Guam today, but in the world. So we are going to get you caught up on all of it. Here's what we're working on for you today.
The menu, brought to you by King's Restaurant, always open, always local, and Ruby Tuesday Guam, home of the Fresh Garden Bar.
Last night, Mike San Nicolas and Sabrina Salas Matinani thanked their supporters and encouraged them, more importantly, to vote for Felix Camacho and Tony Atta. We'll also give you a closer look at the annual Programmatic Agreement Workshop. We will take you out for some really good grub for this week's installment of Feed Me Fridays. And in the hub with Nestor Lecanto, lots of stuff from the Gubernatorial Forum to last night's announcement. And of course, we're going to bring you the latest with the untimely and historic passing of Queen Elizabeth II. But first, in local news, the gubernatorial team of San Nicolas Salas Matinani is now all in for a new season. Before a packed room last night at a Tamuning bar, Delegate Michael San Nicolas was joined by his running mate, the veteran journalist Sabrina Salas Matinani, in a special gathering in which they thanked their supporters. They, of course, came up short to the Leon Guerrero and Tenorio camp during the primary, and they included the Republican gubernatorial team of former Governor Felix Camacho and Senator Tony Atta. The two will go up against them in November. San Nicolas, who ran under the Democratic ticket, made it clear that he is pushing his supporters to vote for the former Governor Felix Camacho and the current Senator Tony Atta.
We are not going to concede. Nobody concede to this. So if you so eloquently know it, let's get the people mobilized. Let's get the message out there. Let's put the energy back into this community with our own good hearts. Let's show that the faith that we have, no matter how diminished, will never be extinguished. That is the cause that is given to us today. That is the cause we're fighting for. It is a fight Guam needs us to fight for. So let's bring this fight to the general election.
Now, in response to the event, the Leon Guerrero camp stated in part, and I quote, "Following the alone time that they requested to process their next steps, our understanding," they write, "is that Camacho Atta supporters showed up at their appreciation party to pander for votes." Now, their campaign manager, Roy Respicio, also said, quote, "Our heart goes out to those who experienced an election loss in all races. Let us move forward with Lou and Josh and retire the politics of the past." Of course, that Rory Respicio, the campaign manager for the Lou Leon Guerrero camp. In other news, an elected official is in jail being held without bail for the murder of a Las Vegas journalist who wrote hard-hitting stories about him. The reporter for the Las Vegas Review-Journal was found stabbed to death outside his home Saturday. Here's what we know.
Police in Las Vegas have arrested Clark County's public administrator for the murder of 69-year-old veteran newspaper reporter Jeff Gehrman.
I'm here to announce the arrest of 45-year-old Robert Tellis. He was booked in the Clark County Detention Center last night on the charge of open murder.
Police say video reveals the suspect confronted the journalist outside his home last Friday morning.
Gehrman came outside of the garage door and then went to the side of the house, and ultimately an altercation took place between the suspect and the victim. Our victim was stabbed multiple times.
Video also showed a GMC Yukon Denali at the crime scene. On Wednesday, Tullis was seen with a car matching that description in his driveway, and police traced DNA found on his hat and shoes to the crime scene. Following his arrest Wednesday, Tullis was wheeled out of his home on a stretcher with self-inflicted wounds.
Right now we can't speculate on the motive. We know that Tellis was very upset about Gehrman's reporting already about his role as a public administrator.
In May, Gehrman wrote a series of articles for the Las Vegas Review-Journal critical of Tellis's conduct on the job, including allegations of emotional stress, bullying, and favoritism in his office. Tellis accused Gehrman of derailing his re-election. He lost in a three-way Democratic primary in June.
Every murder is tragic, but the killing of a journalist is particularly troublesome.
Once Tellis was arrested, the executive editor of Gehrman's newspaper issued a statement that reads in part, "We are relieved Robert Tellis is in custody. Now we can begin mourning and honoring a great man and a brave reporter." Mark Strassman, CBS News, Las Vegas.
Back here at home, the potential relocation of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service headquarters is drawing concerns from two of your elected senators. They fear it could open the door for irreparable harm to one of Guam's most important cultural and historical sites, an area known as Litexen. Nestor Lecanto has the full details in this report.
Speaker Therese Terlahi and Senator Sabina Perez attended an annual briefing by the military Thursday on the environmental impacts of build-up projects at Northwest Field and Marine Corps Base Camp Blas. But Senator Perez says it's not just any place they're talking about. The Texan, she says, can be considered the birthplace of the Chamorro people and has a high concentration of cultural artifacts and human remains.
And even the military's archaeologists confirmed that. He stated that when asked about the importance of this location, he stated, quote, that it is one of the most important cultural resources areas in the Pacific.
What raised their concern was a new revelation about the relocation of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife headquarters from one area of Litexan to another. Terlahi says it speaks to just how massive the firing range will be.
They're relocating the building, and everyone should be reminded that they're relocating this building because the current building is part of the surface danger zone for the last firing range, the largest of all the firing ranges of the 5-range complex.
They believe any uncovered cultural artifacts should be preserved in place. In fact, they say the entire area should remain intact because of its cultural relevance as a once large continuous village. Separately, Terlahi also questions the military's lack of transparency in limiting public and media access to this year's briefing and site tours.
And it's very disturbing because this is the Chamorro people's cultural sites. It's their sites, and it's like cutting them off from knowledge that they should be privy to. What are they trying to hide now? Are they trying to hide the amount of burials that they found at Andy South, that they found at NCS, the Camp Blas area?
They intend to monitor the proposed relocation, and if push comes to shove, they will ask State Historic Preservation Officer Patrick Lujan to invoke a provision in his formal deal with the military to halt further construction.
We really need to renegotiate this programmatic agreement, if not terminate it, because we can't just extend any project to fit under it, because it's not serving the interest of the Chamorro people.
Perez says when pressed, the military said there's been no final decision yet on the Fish and Wildlife Facility relocation, but it will ultimately be up to Joint Region Marianas Commander Admiral Benjamin Nicholson. For KUAM News, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Well, the military has scheduled a press briefing for today to go over the programmatic agreement and the workshop that ensues. Well, GovGuam's single largest annual contract is now a done deal as DOA has signed off on the fiscal year 2023 employee health insurance contract with providers Calvo Select Care and Take Care. The new deal takes place starting on the 1st of October, and open enrollment is expected to begin next week. Here's Frank Campillo, the Select Care Plan Administrator, with the full details.
So this year, we are chosen as the plan that will offer a health insurance plan. We're also going to offer insure the foster children program. And in the health insurance plans, we offer 3 programs. We offer the HSA 2000, the PPO 1500, and we also offer what is called the RSP, which is the Retiree Supplemental Program. And in addition to that, the government of Guam decided at the very last minute to self-insure the prescription drug benefit this year, and that also is going to be administered by the other carrier. So prescription drugs that are obtained at a retail pharmacy, that will have to go through the other insurance company. We are very proud of what we have provided to our insured community. We have over 12,000 members of the government of Guam community that are insured with us. They got used to the comprehensive medical networks that we provide.
Frank Campillo was not at liberty to discuss specific rates at this time. We're also waiting to hear back from DOA Director Ed Byrne on more matters relative to this subject. All right, it is Friday, so we're jumping to our weekly question to read some of what you had to say about this week's topic. You may recall that we were inquiring what you want to see as far as infrastructure to see on Guam. It's a rather broad topic, and we could be talking about roads, waterways, internet infrastructure. You know where my allegiance is like. Faster Wi-Fi, please. Anyway, people that are more smart than me on this thing, including a friend of ours, CClem014 on Instagram, says he wants a hospital that can support the needs of the island. Very, very, very true. Infrastructure are agencies as well. Amy Lenartz on Instagram also commented, more parks for the kids to play. Very, very sound comment. I know a lot of people share that sentiment. Marie on Facebook, maybe a birthday girl. Marie writes, build new schools. Almost all of our schools were built, Marie says, in the 1960s. Very, very good point, Marie. Also on Facebook, LLEM says, not much as far as infrastructural improvements, but fix up roads, schools, hospital, parks, restrooms, again, a swimming pool, street lights, bus stops, government buildings, fire stations, public transportation, lower government waste spending. Yeah, not a long list at all. Very, very terse. Good job, and very, very funny. Chilang on Facebook says, I have an auntie named Chilang. Chilang says, beautify the island main roads, fix the roads where we drive. Outstanding job, everybody. So make sure we have a new topic each and every Monday right here in the Hotspot, and we check your comments throughout the week, and we feature you right here on Friday. There's football going on right now, but still, we address those comments. All right. Big news in international news today as the world is joining the United Kingdom in mourning the monumental loss of Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, who tragically passed away today peacefully at the age of 96. World leaders say she was a legend, while President Joe Biden said in a statement, quote, her legacy will loom large in the pages of British history and in the story of our world. Natalie Brand has the reaction to Britain's longest serving monarch.
In the memory of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Reaction poured in swiftly from around the world Thursday after the palace announced concerns earlier about Queen Elizabeth II's health and later the somber news of her death.
Queen Elizabeth II was widely admired for her grace.
She is a legend.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tweeted, Canadians will always remember and cherish Her Majesty's wisdom, compassion, and warmth.
I'm having trouble believing that my last sit down with her was my last. She was thoughtful, wise, curious, helpful, funny.
Here in Washington, the flag was lowered to half staff at the United Kingdom's embassy. U.S. flags were also lowered at the Capitol and the White House to honor the 96-year-old monarch.
The decades of her reign have seen a profound deepening of the special relationship between our two countries.
I dare say we will never see a leader quite like her for as long as we live.
President Biden, in a statement, said Queen Elizabeth II defined an era, saying in a world of constant change, she was a steadying presence.
Our hearts and our thoughts go to the family members of the Queen, goes to the people of United Kingdom.
As Britain's longest-serving monarch, she met with 13 U.S. presidents during her reign, including President Biden last year.
And if I may editorialize for just a couple of seconds, as someone who is at some distant point in my lineage actually British myself, all of us at KUM say, rest in paradise, Your Majesty, and God save the King. All right, it is time for Feed Me Friday. So here is Nick Delgado with part 2 of his episode where he goes and checks out Island Girl, also run by a British subject.
It's Feed Me Fridays on KUMU's Hotspot, brought to you by Devondale, real milk from free grazing cows.
Pulling through. Hey guys, Nick Delgado here for another Feed Me Fridays. We're here at the new Island Girl coffee location in Zonia. We got 3 new flavors to try just in time for the autumn season. They are the pumpkin spice latte, the pumpkin spice frap, and the pumpkin spice cold brew. Let's check it out.
So I'll be making the pumpkin cream cold brew. I'm gonna start with getting your ice. So 3 ounces of cold brew, a pump and a half of vanilla, and you're gonna make your sweet foam. McDonald's pumpkin cream cold brew.
All right. Hey, half a day.
So here's your pumpkin spice cold brew.
Wow, thank you. Well, I just got my drink and we're gonna try out first the pumpkin spice cold brew with the foam on top. Little cinnamon, top it off nicely. Wow, well, the drinks are definitely amazing. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Devondale, and everyone at Island Girl. Check out their new location here in Zonia. It's next to the mobile gas station. Again, thank you to everyone that was involved in making this possible. Their pumpkin spice menu is off the hook. Send it over back to you, Jace.
It's Feed Me Fridays on KOM News Hotspot, brought to you by Devondale, real milk for free grazing cows.
All right, fantastic job by Nick Delgado there on Feed Me Friday. Now, you may not know this, but the gentleman behind the camera when we do that segment is none other than Victorious Falan, of our Swiss Army knife of everything creative. Amazing, amazing production, Vic. And you are now here for the other hat you wear on KUAM for the very popular One Micronesia podcast.
Yes, and then this episode for this week, I was so honored to have her on the podcast. She's here to shoot some videos and meet family, and I so happened to see her on Instagram, swiped up, and I was like, hey, did you want to jump on the podcast? She's like, yes, I'm down. I'm talking about Nettie C from Saipan, social media, TikTok influencer. So
she's got, what, 88,000 followers or something on TikTok?
Yeah, on TikTok, yeah. And then she was like,
I think 13. I've got 15.
I only got like 3 on TikTok. I think so.
One of them's me.
Yeah. So so I got to sit down and talk to her. Such a very humble person she is, and you'll see her on TikTok and her videos, and her famous line is "Make it how you like it." I don't know if you've ever watched that. Yeah. So I think So we'll talk about that in the podcast, this episode as well. So it was really nice to sit down and chit chat with her. She's so cool.
All right, so Vic, again, very, very talented behind the camera as well as in front of it. So here's a sneak peek of tonight's episode of the One Micronesia podcast.
Let's talk about some of the positive things that come out of your comment section.
The people people are learning from my videos, they're like, they don't even cook and they're cooking. And like, you make it look so easy. And I'm like, man, that's awesome. Like, it makes me so happy to know that like my video helped you and you got to feed your family with it, and a lot of the foods that I post are also very budget friendly, so maybe I can also help you save money, in dinner ideas instead of going out. But also, like, the one comment that I really, really love was my cousin when she was like, hey, this person told me that to tell you thank you because you made me a better wife because now she can cook for her husband. Wow. Like, that's such a compliment. Like, wow, thank you. Like.
Now, Vic, I've never had the pleasure of meeting Nettie C in person. I mean, I've seen her on social media, like you said, but I mean, she just, as you said, she exudes a positive message, and that's so infectious.
It is. It most definitely is. And she says, like, if whoever watches my videos and takes away something amazing from it, and to her, it's a win for her.
Yeah. Seemed like a real chill conversation too.
It was definitely. And she was kind of nervous when she got in. She's like, man, I've never done a podcast like this before. And I was like, no, I got you. Just sit down. It's just a chit chat. Just don't worry about the cameras, and you will be fine. And it went. We cruised through it. Like,
now let me ask you something, bro, because it's been about 3 years that you've taken over that podcast, and it's been such a huge success for us here at KUAM, right? Have you ever fanboyed over any of the people that you've interviewed? Because you've done like a lot of interviews, and you've had some really big names.
I have, man. Like I think the recent one would be Nettie C. To see, have her. I mean, I'm a big fan of her TikTok and what she stands for, and she's a rapper. She does all these cooking videos and displays all these amazing and delicious Chamorro dishes on TikTok and for everybody to see and make as well. So to me, I'm a big fan of her being on the podcast. So it's been a crazy 3 years, Jace. But I've had the pleasure of just getting to know different people here in Micronesia, different talent, and whoever's doing such a great job in their community. So it's been a great journey.
Well, a labor of love, absolutely. All right, good luck, man. We look forward to seeing it tonight.
All right, shoot, thank you.
All right, please stay tuned because when the hotspot returns, Vic and I are just going to sit back because if you're watching KUAM TV right now, you're not watching this show. You're watching the season kickoff of NFL football, and it is the Bills visiting the City of Angels, and they actually are up 10-7 on the defending world champs. Josh Allen already has a touchdown pass. We are going to go to our sports guy, Dave, out in the field to see the community's reaction to the start of the NFL season. That is when we return.
dance party.
Let's go.
When inspiration strikes, say yes with the new Priority Unlimited credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Wherever you shop, whatever you're shopping for, you can earn 2% cash back on everything you buy. From small stuff to big stuff to stuff you want. A card that rewards you for every purchase and helps you stay connected to everything that matters.
Today, I'm Karina from Doc's Kitty College.
And I'm Kristen from Doc's Daycare and Preschool.
And we are so honored to be caring for the children of Guam. The Governor's Child Care programs help businesses like ours to really focus on the kids. These programs also help nonprofits and after-school programs and grandparents and so many families.
Visit www.guamchildcare.com to learn more about the Governor's Child Care programs. This ad is paid for with funds administered by DPHSS.
With Pacific Points, your everyday expenses could be helping you save. Earn points at Shell, Foodies Guam, and IT&E. Then redeem for awesome rewards. Want free fuel from Shell or snacks from Foodies Guam? What about discounts on your IT&E bill, free IT&E prepaid cards, or United Mileage Plus Miles? Sign up for free today. Visit PacificPoints.com or download the app. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Subscribe to our KOAM News Digest, our weekly email newsletter with all kinds of information straight to your inbox. Just subscribe and we'll make sure to keep you informed and entertained with news from the KOAM News team, what to watch on NBC and CBS, and the latest promotions from KOAM Communications. Go to KOAM.com, click on the newsletter tab at the top of the homepage, register, and you're all set. Brought to you by Uno Go, Guam on Demand.
All right, the hotspot continues, everybody. And again, drawing from my British heritage, on today's schedule, we have the Buffalo Bills up on the defending champion LA Rams. Currently, we are at the 2-minute warning right before halftime, and it is the Bills up by a field goal, 10-7 on the LA Rams. Now, if you are ready for some football, let's check in with Dave Delgado, who's out in the field with a whole bunch of people who are really, really pumped about today's season opener.
All right, Jace, I'm here at Applebee's in Tamuning for the NFL season opener between the Buffalo Bills and Los Angeles Rams. Right now, it's the Bills ahead 10-7. Buffalo scoring on their opening drive. Both quarterbacks sacked twice already. Von Miller leaving the Rams to play for Buffalo this season. He already has a sack. Usual suspects now for both offenses. Stephon Diggs, 6 receptions. Cooper Kupp, also with 6 receptions. He scored a touchdown. Really happy to have football back. Great to see some fans here in attendance. Football, man, sport your colors, rep your teams, and make sure to go for your team and cheer proudly. Let me get right into some NFL news for you. Don't forget to catch all your NFL action right here on the stations of KUAM. Monday, September 12th, 3 in the morning. KUAM TV 11. It's going to be the first of a doubleheader for you. Steelers at Cincinnati Bengals. Then at 6:25 in the morning, more NFL on CBS. Kansas City Chiefs at Arizona Cardinals. Keep a lock to the stations of KUAM because on Channel 8, 10:15 in the morning, NBC Sunday Night Football. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Dallas Cowboys. Real exciting game. Just a little bit before halftime. So keep a lock to KUAM TVA for all of your NFL action. Jason, back to you in studio.
Like I told you, so many football fans, so excited they couldn't even fit in Dave's shot. So Dave just had the spotlight to himself. But good thing to see on the NFL kickoff. Man, I am super, super excited. All right. We know you've been hearing, all of you Days of Our Lives fans, and there are many of you on Guam, the Days of Our Lives is shifting to a new format. And with new formats become a lot of opportunity. So allow me, your host, to show you how you can get Days of Our Lives and a whole bunch of other movies and awesome TV series on Peacock.
Sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
Oh, hi everybody. I'm Jason Salas with KUM. Hope you're having a good day. Now, if you love Days of Our Lives just as much as I do and as much as Team KUM does, we've got some fantastic news for you so you can still continue to get your amazing shows. But Days of Our Lives is moving to a new platform. Starting September 13th, which is a Tuesday for Guam, you'll be able to get Days of Our Lives on Peacock. It's the future of TV. It's a brand new streaming TV service. You can watch on your phone, just as I was just doing. You can watch on something like an iPad or a big tablet. You can even watch on a laptop. If you got Wi-Fi, take it around the house. And now let me show you how to use Peacock and how you can find Days of Our Lives. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to go to Peacock. So typically you could just go in your web browser to peacocktv.com. And there you are. So this is Peacock. Now all you have to do is just sign in with your account and then you're on Peacock. Okay, so now you're into Peacock, and as you can see, there's a lot of shows, there's a lot of really cool movies, but I know, just like me, you're really gonna wanna watch Days of Our Lives. But there's wrestling there. Okay, let's go watch Days of Our Lives now though. So the easiest way to do this is up in the right-hand corner of the screen, and you can search for shows, in this case, Days. So I'm gonna click on Days of Our Lives, and there's Steve, Patch, one of my favorites. So now you're on the Days of Our Lives show, and if you scroll through this, you can find all the current episodes. You can even go back. There's 235 episodes that you can consume. That's a lot of Days of Our Lives. Steve and Kayla forever. Okay, so now that you are a pro at using Peacock, I have some bonus news for you. Since you're such a big fan of Days of Our Lives, you are really gonna love this. There's a Days of Our Life spin-off show, so it's a completely separate show where you can follow along with your favorite characters and their stories. It's called Beyond Salem. You're really gonna love it. We hope you enjoy watching Peacock, and watch this video over if you need some help. I'm Jason Salas, and we'll see you on Peacock. Bye-bye. I do love my work. All right, please stay tuned, everybody, because we are talking politics when the hotspot returns. The Hub is up next. Nestor Lecanto has guests Roy Respicio, Dr. Ron McNinch, and Juan Carlos Benitez. Good conversation, and I know they got a lot to talk about. That's next.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
Are you the ultimate Days of Our Lives fan? If you want a chance to learn how to use Peacock, NBC's streaming video platform, firsthand, and get exclusive promotional offers, message us on Instagram or Facebook, or send an email to promotions@kuam.com.
There's epic, then there's ultra epic. Capture life in vivid resolution with Galaxy's most advanced camera system and the built-in S Pen that puts you in control. Every moment, every angle, from sunrise to sundown and beyond. More striking, more stunning than ever. Find the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra at your nearest iTunes store or online at ite.net and change the way you work and play.
As the Decision 2022 race shapes up, keep it with KUAM News for all the news you need to know as you head to the polls. From weekly candidate profile analysis on the Hub on KUAM News Hotspot to our online candidate directory on KUAM.com, special features on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Primetime, plus live coverage of forums and debates. We're your one-stop source on every platform. Stay informed with KUAM News, your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
Off today, I'm Kelina from Doc's Kitty College.
And I'm Kristen from Doc's Daycare and Preschool.
And we are so honored to be caring for the children of Guam. The governor's child care programs help businesses like ours to really focus on the kids. These programs also help nonprofits and after-school programs and grandparents and so many families.
Visit www.guamchildcare.com to learn more about the governor's child care programs. This ad is paid for with funds administered by DPHSS.
Dance party.
Let's go.
When inspiration strikes, say yes with the new Priority Unlimited credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Wherever you shop, whatever you're shopping for, you can earn 2% cash back on everything you buy. From small stuff to big stuff to stuff you want. A card that rewards you for every purchase and helps you stay connected to everything that matters.
With Pacific Points, your everyday expenses could be helping you save. Earn points at Shell, Foodies Guam, and IT&E. Then redeem for awesome rewards. Want free fuel from Shell or snacks from Foodies Guam? What about discounts on your IT&E bill, free IT&E prepaid cards, or United Mileage Plus miles? Sign up for free today. Visit PacificPoints.com or download the app. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
It's news in our native language on the KUAM News Tomorrow News Updates, streaming online on Isla Radio and on the KUAM News YouTube channel. It's part of our ongoing commitment to sustain and perpetuate our language and culture across generations. Tomorrow News Updates are brought to you by your familia at First Hawaiian Bank.
Watch Mariana's artists, activists, and visionaries and their quest to protect, preserve, and promote our Chamorro culture on the Culture Club, a weekly feature on KUAM News digital platforms and the KUAM News Weekend Edition. Brought to you by Tropical Ice.
Mic check.
The Culture Club, winner of the 2022 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
As the Decision 2022 race shapes up, keep it with KUAM News for all the news you need to know as you head to the polls. From weekly candidate profile analysis on the Hub on KUAM News HotSpot to our online candidate directory on KUAM.com, special features on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Primetime, plus live coverage of forums and debates. We're your one-stop source on every platform. Stay informed with KUAM News, your news leader, the voice of the Marianas. Howdy everyone, and welcome back to another edition of The Hub, where we talk politics from the previous week. And we've got our guest today is Rory Respicio, who is the campaign manager of the Lou and Josh campaign.
Morning, Nestor.
Yeah, we got Dr. Ron McNinch of the University of Guam, and of course Juan Carlos, the Republican Party chairman. Let me start out and with Juan Carlos, because you were at the event last night hosted by Mike San Nicolas and Sabrina Salas Matanani, an appreciation party for their supporters. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think part of it is, as people know, I was a Madeline supporter when she was running for Congress, and the San Nicolas beat her. And so at the beginning, I was very critical about his work, and he reached out to me and said, look, instead of fighting each other, why don't we try to work together on resolving some of these issues? We started with war reparations, and we ended up building a good relationship and getting good things done for Guam. You know, we supported the SSI increase, Supplemental Social Security, to apply to the island. We went after the getting Guam companies to be recognized at the same level as Hawaiian and Alaskan Native corporations, and those two are still in the inkwell. We're still fighting for them. But we were able to get the war reparations done. We were able to increase the Medicaid funding and the Medicaid cap by including the Micronesians and the guys from the Free Associated States. So it was a good event. I congratulate them on running a clean and good campaign, and it really got us an opportunity to talk to their supporters and say, please look at our camp and the candidates that are running on our side. I think you're going to find a lot of things in common between you all and us.
Yeah, what we really wanted to get at is everyone was waiting to see what he would say, what his statement would be with regard to who he would be supporting. I think it was kind of a tacit endorsement, if you will, of Felix and Tony.
Yeah, I would say, I definitely would say he is not supporting the Lou and Josh campaign. I think he releases his supporters to go where they feel it should be, but there was a commitment to, we're trying to look for change, and if you're trying to look for change, you should participate in the election process in November, and you should support a candidate that is supportive of change.
Yeah. And Rory, I think his statement was actually to the effect of do not vote for Lou and Josh. Your reaction?
Well, first, I'm sure that Mike Nicholas would wanted Juan Carlos Benitez endorsement in the primary election, given everything that he said. But Nestor, we're not surprised at last night's event. Both Mike Nicholas and Felix Camacho, former Governor Camacho, they have a history built on convenience rather than a genuine belief in each other. And so we weren't surprised at all. But given what the governor, Lou and Lieutenant Governor Josh has done, and the entire Lou and Josh campaign village organization, immediately following the primary, they are respecting Mike Nicholas's request for the time and the space to deal with his family and with what his next steps are. But notwithstanding, we've been hitting the ground running. We've been reaching out to all of the voters on Guam, disaffected Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and alike, just everyone continuing to make the strong case on why 4 more years moves our island forward. Versus not voting for Lou and Josh means going back in reverse.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of campaign that we've been able to present from the very beginning.
Ron, let me go back to Juan Carlos. He had some news.
Yeah, you know, it is hard to try to unite a party when you've had probably one of the ugliest primary races I've seen in my life, where all the leadership of the Democratic Party have taken sides on the fight. You know, I even wonder, a number of them had told people that if Mike would have won, they would have resigned from the office. So it is not surprising for anybody that he did not come and give a glowing endorsement or support to a candidate that has been honestly throwing slander and allegations against him and his followers.
Not true. See, I don't know how Juan Carlos continues to come on your show, Nestor, go on all these different medias, talking about the Democratic Party of Guam when he's here to represent the GOP. And the things that he says that the Democrats have been doing, the things that he says the Lou and Josh campaign have been doing are further from the truth. We went a very clean campaign. Governor Lou, Lieutenant Governor Josh, even when the ethics complaints came out against Congressman Nicholas and how that matter was referred to the Department of Justice and he's under investigation, he has this clout over him. It wasn't Governor Lou that talked about this at the debate, it was Mike Nicholas who brought this out. Himself when he talked about those are the unsubstantiated allegations, and the governor retorted and responded by saying, well, I'm talking about substantiated allegations. And so for Juan Carlos to keep trying to run put a divide between not even the Democratic Party, because we get support from all walks of life. We want to stick to the record, and when we want to stick to the record, you have Juan Carlos from the GOP saying, oh, and you have Governor Camacho saying, don't judge me when I was governor because Lulian Guerrero is the one up for re-election. The referendum is on the administration. And for all this call for change, granted there was a 40% voter turnout, 60% voted for Lou and Josh, 40% voted for Mike Nicholas and Sabrina Salas Mantanani. I think that Lou and Josh are change agents. I think they are voting for Lou and Josh because they want change, and the status quo is not acceptable. When she walked into a governorship, she had a mounting deficit. Tax-free funds had to be borrowed in order to be paid. She's eliminated the debt. She's made sure that tax-free funds are paid within 4 weeks. She's made sure that there's fair and transparency and accountability throughout all facets of the government. And talk about accountability, my day job is really poor general manager, but I signed leave to be on your show because that's the kind of people we are and that's the kind of government they insist on. And you can keep talking about how the Democrats are divided, but take a look at how the Governor Leon Guerrero, Lieutenant Governor Josh has been able to unite this community even post-pandemic.
Right.
Unemployment is 5%, tourists are coming back, 70% occupancy rate in the hotels. Let's talk about those records, Juan Carlos, and let's stick to those facts.
Let me bring Ron into the conversation. So Mike's speech last night, it was not a specific endorsement of Felix and Tony, but it was an indictment of the Lou and Josh campaign. What are your thoughts on that?
I think Shakespeare would have said, the lady doth protest too much, meaning that, yeah, that's the game. That's the game that people are playing. For me, when I look at it, I think there's 22 solid points on the Republican side, 25 solid points on the Democrat side. Then there's 53 points that are going to be all over the place during the next 9 weeks. And whoever can pull that remaining 20 to 28 points into their camp is going to win. And to me, it's just that simple. The question is it going to be the current incumbent who has the home ground advantage? Is it going to be the former governor who has a huge, a comparable organization on his side? So this is really an interesting race because it's been a long time since we've had this kind of matchup.
Juan Carlos, do you expect that Michael San Nicolas and Sabrina Salas-Matanani will be actively campaigning for Felix and Tony, or will they just continue to say, supporters vote your conscience?
Yeah, my expectation is Congressman San Nicolas will go back to D.C. and continue to do the work that we've been working on. There's a Medicaid cliff coming up in this December that we need to address as an island. We need to start looking at seeing if we can get the parity for the local companies to be treated the same. So my thought with San Nicolas, he's going to be in D.C., he's going to be doing the work that he's going to be doing there. Whether he's going to be involved in politics locally or not, that's up to him. I have not have any conversation with him on it.
So there's not been any formal conversation about him maybe, being out there and taking photos and like Frank Huggen did, or anything of that sort?
Not with me. I was there, and I think yesterday was a celebration of the clean campaign that they try to run, and the fact of the way that we perceive the individuals. I hold him in high esteem. He's done a great job. I think he's been the amount of bills that have been going through Congress is something to be recognized when you compare it to prior records of former congressmen.
Yeah, Rory, what's your read on that?
Well, he could say whatever may or may not happen. But for me, I think that Mike Nicholas would, of course, go back to D.C. He has some work to finish, but he also has a lot on his plate. He has to deal with the Department of Justice, and he has to work hard to clear his name if he believes his name is cleared. And our prayers go out to him and his family, and we wish them well. That's the only thing that we should be doing in the kind of community that we live here on Guam, where we should be talking about love and not hate. And that's the contrast. I think Lou and Josh's campaign is all about inclusion. It's about bringing people together. It's about moving forward on ideas and building on progress to continue for 4 more years. The Republicans are meddling in what they want to do to drive a wedge. Last night's event was an appreciation party to show appreciation to the Mike and Bree supporters, and yet they show up. The Republican operatives show up. I don't think that translates well. I don't think that's the humane thing to do. And I think if the congressman is asking for space and the time to figure his next steps, I think it's honorable that Governor Leon Guerrero has honored that. He hasn't conceded yet. She's not expecting a concession speech. She's moving forward. Nonetheless, she's been moving forward. Even the morning of the primary election, when she gave her remarks to everyone, she said, I'm going to continue to reach out. Josh and I will do what we can to solidify our Lou and Josh supporters. But she told the people that were there, she said, now that the primary's been decided, we just have to start from ground zero, and we just have to talk to everyone and let everybody know that they have a home in Lou and Josh. And even to the Nicholas Salas-Matanani supporters, even to those who supported Camacho Etta in the primary, Lester, they saw the debate, they may have changed their mind, and they need to come over to us, because this is the team that's going to keep moving our island forward, and that's the contrast that we're providing.
Ron, who do you think is going to get Mike San Nicolas, Sabrina Salas-Matanani votes?
I think this is going to be a hard-fought race. You have 2 tough sides. I had to sit between these 2 guys tonight, okay? I mean, that's the reality. I mean, they're both good friends, but there's a lot of heavy-duty feelings going on here. This is going to be a very emotional election, and it depends on where those emotions fall. And it's going to be a very neat and tough race. This is not going to be a walk-away race for anybody, I don't think.
Rory brought up the concession, and he specifically said he would not be conceding.
Yeah, but he didn't commit to the Democrat side either. So he doesn't concede or commit to really anything. And I don't mean to sound negative about him when I say that, but that's just the way Mike appears to be politically. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, there's a very old tradition for mavericks and young Turks in our political system, and I think he fits into that genre. And by the way, Mike, regardless of what happens in this election cycle, he has a really solid future for Guam politics anyway. And so this is a part of that future for him.
Yeah. Juan Carlos, you got any thoughts on that? The fact that he said he was not going to be conceding at all.
Yeah, I think you need to give people their room. And I think the idea is focus on work and try to figure out how we can work together to get this island into a better location. It's funny that the Democratic Party is saying let's unite, but they keep bringing up this allegation like if they think that the FBI is really going to bring out any charges against him. Everybody knows they're not.
Yeah.
I think it's very clear who brought it up. And he's saying let them have space, but yet he went to an appreciation party that was not for him.
I got invited. I don't know about you. I got invited. I didn't show up there on my own without an invitation.
To touch on your point, and I've spoken to a lot of politicians and political candidates, and to lose it is very painful.
It is painful.
It is a very painful thing. I think Rory, you're the only one that's actually held office, and
I've lost after
and you've lost,
7 consecutive terms.
and that's a very difficult pill to swallow. I mean, it's something you normally take personally. Do you think that maybe Mike's attitude will evolve over the next few weeks, or is that pretty much going to stick what he said last night throughout the rest of the campaign and into the November 8th general election?
Winning and losing elections change people, and it changed the perception that you do. You run for office, particularly in Guam, because of your convictions of what you believe in. And when you lose, there's this, you're running because you feel that you can make a difference for the people. And when you feel rejection by the population, it's hard to take. In this particular case, and I try to highlight this to him, this is the largest votes ever getting against an incumbent in the history of Guam. No challenger against a sitting governor have ever received 40% of the vote, and it was a good race. It was fought, but it's a hard race to win. Particularly $1 million in expenditure versus barely $60,000. It's hard to do. He went all digital. He tried a new concept into how to get the vote out. We got to look at that and then see how we move forward. In his case, my expectation is this is going to be months of hard soul searching, and he'll decide where his future is soon.
All right, we got to take a short break, and we'll be back with more of The Hub right after this.
As the Decision 2022 race shapes
Sorry
up,
about
keep it
joking
with
about
KUAM
the
News for all the things you need to know as you head to the polls. From weekly candidate profile analysis on the Hub on KUAM News HotSpot to our online candidate directory on KUAM.com, special features on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Primetime, plus live coverage of forums and debates. We're your one-stop source on every platform. Stay informed with KUAM News, your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We want to continue our discussion. Let's talk about the debate, the one before the Chamber of Commerce, the first face-off between the two candidates so far. One of, I guess, the first in, I guess, will be a series of face-offs. Rory, what stood out to you for Governor Liu? What would you consider the highlights of the debate for her?
Well, we know that she did an excellent job, Nestor, because she stuck to the facts and she stuck to the record. It's not so much what she did and how she performed. She did an exceptional job. But what stood out for me was former Governor Camacho. At the same time, he talks about taking the high road. I mean, in watching the debate, you saw how many dings he took at her, how many times he called her a dictator, what he said that with $2 billion, even Mickey Mouse can do a better job. And then in his closing, he said for her to remove the scale from her eyes and the plugs in her ears. And so immediately following that, Governor Liu shared with me and others that, when they went up to shake hands, she told him that, Felix, I know you don't believe those things that you just said about me. And then she also did a media interview to give her own reaction toward the debate, how she stuck to the facts, she stuck to the record, and you can judge a person in what they're going to do in office based on what they've done. And for the things that Governor Camacho has said, to be anti-lockdown, that the pandemic shut businesses down, Governor Liu shut businesses down, it's the pandemic that caused all those things. But where are we at today? And what's struck out for me is that former Governor Camacho, is basically criticizing all the people that needed the government's help during the pandemic, saying people were just taking money and staying home, and that if he were governor, he would have them working out to clean up the island, and so chastising the people who received government assistance, including the business community who received the assistance, and the $2.2 billion that was pushed out. Those are the things that struck out in my mind, and how the debate provided the kind of contrast that our voters need about whether we're going to move forward or whether we're going to go back in reverse.
Juan Carlos, what were the highlights in the debate for you?
Well, I think that Governor Felix Camacho showed that he has a large commitment for this race, and that he has a lot of energy, and he's going to come out and address the issues specifically that he feels are making a difference for this island, or where his difference lies between him and Governor Lulon Guerrero. And it was made clear from the opening to the closing of the debate. You saw the stark contrast in their way of looking at Guam's economy, the drug crisis and epidemic we're living through, the crime concerns and issues that we're facing. But so for me, that was the highlight. It was just seeing the big contrast, and now the people are able to decide where do they want to go and what do they believe or not. Personally, I'm on the board of Catholic Social Services, so when she brought about the homelessness and how few homeless are here, a lot of the reason for the lower numbers is because of a lot of federal programs that were brought here during the federal legislation, not through the governor's legislation. And we all know, and we're dealing with the reality that come September, those programs end. And we need to figure out how we're going to put and add those beds back on, or how we're going to try to subsidize the programming. Meanwhile, we also have to deal with some of the programs that the government took back from us and said that they don't want us to run them anymore. And now the homelessness for the program for beds for disabled and elderly recovery center. We came in, the government took it back. They closed it. They closed the program. It's not open. They're saying they're going to maybe do a bid to reopen it in September. We can look at it. But right now, we've already had 4 patients that we wanted to refer over that had no place to go. So if you're asking me, we have a homelessness problem. You might try to say you don't. I completely disagree. We have a crime problem and we have a drug problem. And for me, that comes out of a sign of hopelessness of the people. Drugs is what you take when you have no hope of getting back your job or being able to pay your bills and find a home. That's a problem that's created under this administration that they need to face at some point. Driving here today, I saw a homeless man leaving in a car, a veteran. I went in and said, look, I lost my house. I'm in a car. I just came out this morning. Look by the bowling alley. You'll see 2 or 3 of them. To try to address that we don't have a problem and that it's already been taken care of, it's shallow. And that, for me, was where the biggest contrast came in.
Okay. We got to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Ron's take on the debate right after this.
All right.
As the Decision 2022 race shapes up, keep it with KUAM News for all the news you need to know as you head to the polls. From weekly candidate profile analysis on the Hub on KUAM News HotSpot to our online candidate directory on KUAM.com, special features on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Primetime, plus live coverage of forums and debates. We're your one-stop source on every platform. Stay informed with KUAM News, your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
All right, we're back, and let me get to you, Ron. What is your take on that debate? Was there a good chance to compare and contrast between the two?
Oh, thank you. Well, first, congratulations to the Guam Chamber of Commerce. Great event. Yeah. Good events like that, good community service doesn't simply fall out of the sky. And so kudos to them. And I think both parties would greatly appreciate it. That's the common ground here at the table, I think, today. in general, every candidate for office, if they don't make it, they wonder, what could I have done different? In this case, we have two either incumbents or recent former incumbents that ask that same question. What is the great unfinished work that they wanted to do and they still want to be in office to try to do? So it's an unfinished work question, which is really the true legacy question. So Governor Camacho had a lot of things he wanted to do as governor. He never was able to get done because of time. Governor Leon Guerrero has a lot of things she wants to do. She wants more time to do it. And so they both have a lot in common in that regard. And so really all the exchanges and the back and forth at that debate over what they did and didn't do really doesn't matter. It's the potentiality of what they're going to do if they get elected for 4 more years, because both of them have unfinished work.
There was one issue that stood out to me, and we're talking about contrast, and that was one thing that Felix said about, the governor, all you do is want to give to make people reliant on government. And then the governor, Leon Guerrero, came back and said, no, that's not give, that's being humane. Your thoughts on that?
Our thoughts precisely. In one hand, he's criticizing her for giving out all these assistance. What is he saying to the people who needed it? That they should not have received these assistance, that they should have gone out and work? And so that's the contrast. And then, very quickly, the governor did not say we don't have a homelessness problem. She said we do. And she credited Lieutenant Governor Josh for his work with the Guam Homeless Coalition and other nonprofit, even faith-based organizations. But the governor's point throughout the whole debate was, okay, Felix, you had 8 years to do this. All the things you're talking about, you had 8 years. I have 3.5 years, 2 years of which were during a pandemic. And so she's been able to show a tremendous amount of work of what she's been able to do in the last 3.5 years to make the case for 4 more years. And we just have to look at the records.
Okay, we're going to take one more break, and then we'll wind up with you, Juan Carlos. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
You're not going to run this up?
As the Decision 2022 race shapes up, keep it with KUAM News for all the news you need to know as you head to the polls. From weekly candidate profile analysis on the Hub on KUAM News HotSpot to our online candidate directory on KUAM.com, special features on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Primetime, plus live coverage of forums and debates. We're your one-stop source on every platform. Stay informed with KUAM News, your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
All right, we're running out of time, but we do have about 2 minutes left to get to Juan Carlos and talk about that one exchange between the two governors that I mentioned.
Right, and I would say, first of all, if you want to see in black and white what Governor Felix Camacho and Tony Atta are going to achieve when they become governor of Guam, just go to their Facebook website and you will see 26 pages of specific facts and issues that they're going to be pushing and working on as soon as they get in. With regards, it's where they were going is you have an infrastructure that you need to rebuild and maintain in this island. And when it's come to this governor, she first of all withheld a lot of the funds, only provided funding for public employees. The rest of the funds were federal funds that were coming from Washington that were being fought hard by Congressman St. Nicholas, by me, and we kept wondering why the governor wasn't going to DC or participating in a lot of these efforts, but she received that largesse of federal funds in here. Now, the problem is, how do you spend those funds and how do you use those funds? There were many different ways in which you could have done it. You could have ended up giving the funding to the private industry so they would maintain and pay the salaries of their employees, so when they wanted to come back, those employees would be there and available. Instead, she closed those businesses. She ordered them to be closed. She closed our streets and said, stay home. I'm going to give you the money to stay home and not work at that facility. That's not what you want to do. That's what brings us into the situation we're facing today, where a lot of the businesses are trying to get back those employees who took that money and left island.
All right. That's it. We're out of time, unfortunately. But we'll bring you back for sure. We'll bring you back, and we can continue this dialogue because we got a couple of more months before the general election. So that's our show for this week. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you again next week right here on the Hub.
Yeah, I'll give you the last one.